Meeting in order. Verification of compliance with the open meeting law.
Yeah, it was posted on our front door and on the village website, and I got affidavit of its publication in the paper just today.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
We have got from the Village of Spencer, Bill Hose. From Spencer School, Jason Gorst. From NTC, Ann Thurs. Marathon County virtually, Samantha, is it Fensky?
Yes, thank you.
At-large member Wayne Hagan is not present. Also present are Village President Harry Tofar, Trustee Jeremy Karolfi, and Ellers Financial Advisor Brian Wright.
Okay, agenda order changes or corrections.
I did actually take one thing off the agenda. You might not be able to see it because it's been whited out, but it might be on Samantha's agenda. Item 7C was a leftover from a previous board meeting. I forgot to delete. So we will not be talking about the Spencer gun range at this meeting.
Okay, I did see that earlier. Wonder what. Okay.
Yeah, my mistake.
Okay. Five appointments. Public member.
Wayne Hagan was appointed as our public member last year and agreed to serve again this year, but is not here. So that's not a problem. We still have a quorum present.
Okay. Chairperson.
And you were appointed as chairperson last year. I suppose we could, I don't know how it's normally done, if you would be elected each year.
It was volunteer.
Sure, there's no harm in nomination, second, all in favor.
If someone wanted to make a nomination or elect.
Nominate Bill to be the chairperson.
Second. Actually, Jeremy, you're not a member of the board, right? Technically, so I solicited a second maybe from one of the other members.
I can second it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Congratulations.
Approval of minutes, ninth review board meeting minutes from September 9th of 2022.
Yeah, so these, technically you would wait until the next meeting to approve these minutes, and since we only meet annually, it's been a while. These are the minutes from the previous meeting. I can read them, or you can read them to yourselves.
I briefed them earlier in the day. From what I remember, right?
Were they included in the email that had the packet materials by chance?
They should have been,
Okay.
the last pack that I sent out. I can bring them up on my screen and share them with you, I think.
That would be wonderful. Thank you.
If I can.
Sure. Oh, sit.
Just hit the
That should have done part. There you go. Back to screen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy. I'm still learning how this technology stuff works.
Yeah. We get you. I'm retired. Thank you.
Then I might suggest it would be nice to have people that were actually here at this meeting to make the motions to approve the minutes. If
Remember this?
you are not.
I didn't think so.
I think that's just filling.
Yeah, I'll make the motion.
I'll second that.
Approve. All right,
Aye.
opposed. Motion carried. Did we want to ask, we want to have visitor?
It's at your discretion. You're welcome to.
I would like to, would you like to address the review board at all? I mean, you signed in the talk.
Oh, I'm Pete Weinshank. I'm from Edgar.
I know.
I have a lot of concern about TIF, and I'm just hoping that tonight you think about the taxpayers of Marathon County that are supporting this whole match. I just read your minutes. You extended both TIFs because they couldn't pay the bills. And just to remind people here that that means that's another 3 years that the rest of us as taxpayers have to await our repayment after the TIF closes and we get property tax relief. Thank you for letting me speak.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, number 7. New business. Review the annual PE300 reports and performance status of the village's active tax incremental district is required by the Oregon statute 66.05 prem 4M prem F.
And you have that one, Samantha?
I believe so, but if you want to pull it up, that would be appreciated.
Yep. Brian, I believe will present this report to the board.
Happy to. Just as a note to the group, the PE 300 reports are required to be filed by every jurisdiction in the state that has an active tax increment district. And those are due to the Department of Revenue no later than July 1 of every year. However, they're not really suitable for conversational purposes and to present to you, what the overall financial profile of any tax increment district looks like. And so we do incorporate some of that information into a forecast for each of the TIF districts, but those are kind of a combination of both backwards looking and then a handful of forward looking items, but I'm not sure the average person would be able to decipher kind of what they're telling you. And so those are available to you. The village has filed their required reports in accordance with law. Anybody can go out and look at them. They've also been provided electronically. So what I would like to do is then work from some broader cash flow projections. And I'm happy to kind of fill in some of the blanks here and address questions if and when they. We will start with TID number 3. This is a mixed use district. There are various classifications of TIF districts that largely relate to what I'll call the conditions precedent. What does the geography look like from a suitability perspective? In the case of mixed use, commercial, industrial, and residential are all allowed, and you need at least 2 of those 3 purposes for at least half the area that comprises the boundary. And so again, it's kind of just like getting through certain gates and satisfying certain requirements when you create a district and or amend a district over the course of time. So a mixed use district has an unextended life of 20 years from a state of creation, and to the point that was made, there was an extension that was done previously to this district. In fact, last year, the final available revenue period for TID 3 is now 2040 versus what was essentially 2034 before the extension. And that gives the village the right, but not the obligation to keep it open through that period of time. You go back to last year too, we were talking through some of the situational matters associated with TID 3. And at that time, going back to last year, there was some debt restructuring done to better align available revenues with the expenses for the district. There were some larger deficits that were emerging on an annual basis, which were being supported through advances of cash from other funds. And as you can all imagine, there's not an unlimited source of cash. And so steps needed to be taken to better bring things into alignment. I'm happy to say there have been some positive things that have occurred over the last year. One of which is an increase in the value for TID number 3. And so we're really looking at more of a timing issue with respect to revenues and expenses. And so in this case, the value for taxes payable 25 was about $7 million, and for 26 will be about $14.4 million. So a roughly doubling of the valuation in this district, which will equate to, again, roughly a doubling of the available revenues in TID number 3. And so as you're looking at this, the revenue year is the fiscal period. When you look at those columns on the left, the TID value increment, that's the captured tax increment value. So essentially, what additional value has come to the fore since the creation of this district in this boundary area. And then so you've got your projected revenues, and we're holding the current value constant, and we don't have the tax rate for payable 26 yet. So we're using the taxes payable 25 rate. Both of those numbers are held constant for the remainder of the forecast period for this. Then we have expenses. Again, there were 3 debt issues outstanding well before this time last year that were then restructured into an interest-only mode to allow the benefit of additional value to come online to produce more revenue and to allow for some unpackaging of the underlying expenses into general fund costs, water utility costs, and sewer utility costs. And so the next step is to kind of deconstruct the prior financings and bucket those. And so then we can prioritize the cash flow, because at some point we do need to go back into permanent financing mode and reset things in a way that better align with the available revenue stream, as well as putting a priority on the cash flow and most likely cover the general fund's costs. And then continue to look at the value to ensure that there's enough there to also recover the utility expenses as well. Up in the upper right-hand corner, we have to have a starting point, and the starting point is the end of fiscal 24. All right, and so the audited financials indicate that there are various advances to the tune of about $1 million from other funds to TID number 3. And so when you're looking at this from a left to right perspective, you've got revenues, you've got expenses, you've got an annual balance, and then a cumulative balance. And so for 25, there was a little bit of relief given the restructuring that occurred, which is generally a positive thing. We're going to bring some cash back to the sources that where it came from. And then there are some nominal deficiencies here as we go forward in time, and we need to identify how to handle that for fiscal 26. Again, the cycle is get values in August, and then tax rate late in the calendar year, audited financial information with the turn of the calendar year, at least draft. And so you kind of go through these milestone moments throughout the course of any fiscal period where we can reevaluate the cash flow, and then also establish a finance plan associated with the permanent financing of what was done in 2024. All right. And so there is no doubt we need additional value in TID number 3 to fully recover all of the costs, but for at least a period of time, we needed the benefit of time to allow additional development to unfold. All right, and then to craft the strategy around the permanent financing situation, because eventually this would have drawn down the village's cash. Any immediate questions on TID number 3? So we took kind of phase 1 of multi-phased approach to TID 3 last year, and then there'll be some follow-on events that will take place over the course of the next couple of years, I would argue. All right, let's then move on to TID number 4. TID number 4 was similarly extended last year. There was a 3-year extension available to TID number 3. This is also a mixed use district. The unextended life, again, 20 years, now 23 years with the extension. Again, some positive developments in terms of the valuation and after taxable value going from just under 2.5 million to now just under 3.4 million. Does bring with it some additional revenue. You'll note that a similar situation exists in that there is a deficit cumulative balance as of the end of fiscal 24. And the additional revenue will help bring this one back to some degree of alignment, right? So again, we need more value in TID number 4 and the benefit of time for that to unfold. Nothing was done with respect to the debt that was outstanding at that time and still has not in terms of any kind of restructuring. The 2022 note could be extended potentially. You get 20 years to fully retire general obligation debt. And so something could be done with that to bring it out to the end of the life here at this point to 2040. But again, every time you do that, you're incurring cost and potentially additional interest expense. So, I think it's probably fine to kind of leave things where they are as of right now without any further action that would come at additional cost for this TIF district. So it is a monitoring situation, certainly more so than TID 3. Any questions on TID 4?
I do. With both of these ending in a deficit, are there plans in the work already to bring additional value in? Is it expected to truly end up still in the deficit?
I will say we're probably taking the most conservative stab at the forecast, but I would leave it to boots on the ground folks to speak to any other developable property that still remains in one or both districts. And if there's anything in the works, you would all be better to speak to that than I would.
Yeah, as far as from our perspective, we've got 6 developable lots in our industrial park with commitment right now to build on one of them, which could potentially increase the value just on that one lot of another $7 million. And then this is in TID 3.
Okay.
The other part of TID 3 is the residential area. We've got 2 subdivisions in that residential part of the TID. And there are a dozen available lots on the villages side that are ready to build out. In addition to another couple lots that would be ready to put bigger apartment complexes on, similar to the one that's going up right now. And then in the second subdivision, there's another potential for 30 lots out there that's being done by a private developer. And if all of those lots built out the way that we would like them to, then the TID would be payable on its own. TID 4 is in a slightly different area. That's over by Quick Trip. That's where that revenue or that increment is coming from. That additional increment came from the Quick Trip development. There's not as much room over there for expansion. A smaller number of vacant lots over there. So there isn't as much potential over there for development in the future as there is in TID 3.
Okay. Thank you.
I will note both TIDs 3 and 4 are both still in their expenditure periods. And so there is the ability to take on additional costs if they are needed, and not argue then feasibility becomes the level of analysis required to determine whether or not those are going to cash flow and what positive benefit they bring to the district. But both of them still have runway on executing on the project plan. In the case of TID 3, the expenditure period expires 2028. So we are approaching that timeline. And then for TID 4 is 2031. And then I'll just close out with the present status with respect to compliance with what's called the 12% test. Right now, the village is basically right at 10%. And when I say 10%, that means when you take the increment value of both kids 3 and 4 and add them together, that captured value comprises about 10% of the village's total equalized value. If you are at or above 12%, you are precluded from creating any new districts or expanding the boundaries of any particular one or more districts. And so there's still a latitude to be able to expand or create a new TIF district if the village desires, but you have to take the 10% of that 10% number, so that value number plus whatever the base value or the area that you're trying to put into a TIF district, add them together. The two cannot exceed 12%. So very limited. You know, from a practical perspective, the village's ability to create any new districts is rather limited just by that very number alone. So just throwing that out there, but that essentially gives you a snapshot of what both districts presently look like. I also talked about kind of cadence of things throughout the course of any fiscal year, where we review and update the forecasts to be better in line with what available information there is at that time. Any other questions for me? I'll step aside, turn the agenda back over to the chair.
Righty.
Really, the last step, Bill, is just to approve that resolution.
Okay, B. It's resolution 2025. Resolution acknowledging filing of the annual report. Compliance of with the annual meeting requirement.
This is on the last page of the packet. It's just a statement that's required for us to submit to the state to document that we have had this meeting and shared the information that we're required to share.
Motion like this.
Yeah.
Motion on. Resolution, please.
Motion to approve the resolution acknowledging the filing of the annual reports and compliance with the meeting requirement.
I'll second.
Okay. Approve, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Was motion carried. Need a motion to adjourn. Yeah.
So moved.
Yes, second.
Okay.
The motion, approve, say aye.
All right.
Aye.
Pause. Adjourn.
Thank you.
Thank you, Samantha.
Thank you very much.
Stop sharing.
Yeah, stop.
Stop for the right words for the right thing. Stop sharing. Yeah. There you go.